What's up, people? I'm Shaggy the Opinionated Hippie, and this is part 11 of my reviewing and ranking King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard's studio albums, and we are on Sketches of Brunswick East. This was a collaboration with the Mild High Club, which is primarily one guy, Alex Breton. He's got a guitar player who thinks is on, sometimes plays with him live. I don't know how often. I'm not a huge Mild High Club. But they met, they collaborated, they released this. It came out in 2017. King Gizzard's third album of that year, their 11th studio overall. And I'm going to review this, and then I'll show where I think this one falls amongst the other 10 that band is King Gizzard has already released. I am not the biggest fan of this album. It is a very 70s, there's a slight retro 70s airy, breezy pop, psyche, but a very happy, pure psych. A lot of this does kind of remind me of maybe theme songs from 70s shows. Back in the day, television shows had really long theme songs. This reminds me a lot of that. Maybe even a little bit of sort of like a 70s movies, just like maybe a romance or something like that. There's a lightness and a breeziness and an airiness to this that can work, but for me kind of doesn't work. There are some sort of melodic and musical motifs that kind of repeat throughout the album. And I think they're with some weird, I don't know what it is. It's some weird synthesizer that they're using. I don't know what exactly it is, but I don't like the sound of it. It's just, the melody doesn't get me. The sound of the instrument doesn't get me. There's not a lot of guitar action on here. The couple times when guitar does pop up and provides these almost like spirally, typical King Gizzard, like spirally lines and maybe even some proggy energy, I think those are the highlights of the album. And it's not a bad album. Like when I listen to it, there are definitely things I'm like, I don't really like this, but then something will follow. I'm like, oh, but I do like that. Almost the entire thing segues. Like the first half, if you have the vinyl, I think on the CD, maybe the last track on side A might segue directly into side B, but everything segues together. And almost the entire album is like an instrumental piece. It opens up with Sketches of Brunswick East 1, which is one of the motifs that repeats throughout the album. And then you get a song with vocals, but the vocals are very airy and light and very blah. Whatever. The lyrics might be dark. The first two songs, or other than the opening sort of prologue or countdown, and then D-Day, so there's some maybe bad things going to happen. But almost the entire progression of the album is a song with vocals and instrumental song, a song with vocals and instrumental song, a song with vocals and instrumental song. And I think the instrumental songs are, for the most part, the best stuff on here. I just don't like the way the singing's happening. There's just a lot of stuff on here that, I don't know, it's not hitting me the way the other stuff did. But it opens up with Sketches of Brunswick, which repeats a couple times throughout the album, three times. Countdown, there's a lot of really jazzy influences on here. There's a bossa nova flavor almost, like we're flirting a little bit with Girl from Ipanema type vibes for a lot of it, but I don't think any of the melodies are as strong as that album. Like that album is ridiculous. I don't think that's what it's called, though. Is that what it's actually called? But there is a very, very jazzy element, but it's like a light, floaty, airy psych jazz. And I don't necessarily, it's not something that speaks to me. What is that album? Stan Getz's The Girl from Ipanema. Is that the name of the album? That is a fantastic album, whatever album that actually is called. I'm trying to find out what... Getz/Gilberto. That is a fantastic bossa nova album. But this is not on that level, I would argue. But yeah, so you get the first two songs, Countdown, where again, you get that jazzy psych. There's this woodwind action. I'm pretty sure it's this woodwind that I kind of don't like that's in there. I'm pretty sure there's a woodwind being played throughout this entire thing. Trying to look to see what that woodwind is. Maybe it's a synthesizer that's doing it. Maybe it's the Omnic. No, that's only on one track. I don't know what it is, but there's something on here that just doesn't quite resonate with me. And it is the album I listen to least often of all their albums. But anyways, there are some cool things in here. D-Day, one of the instrumentals, which I think is in 7. I think the entire time Mackenzie is like counting backwards from 11, but it's in 7 because of the syllables. And it's got a cool, really funky little groove in there. That's a pretty cool thing. For a very brief time, some wailing, what sounds like saxophone comes in there, but I don't know if that's what it is. We got some waltz energy kind of seeps in with Tazita or Tazetta. We got some tiptoed kind of funky little proggy energy in the instrumental cranes, planes, and migraines. Spider and Me, we get more airy, breezy psych pop. We go back to Sketches of Brunswick East for the second version of that, and it eventually goes back into that like the theme that was in 1, but the beginning of it almost sounds like a Disney movie or like a 1940s MGM production. It's just got that kind of weird music about it, which could work if what they dropped into was a groovier, funkier jam, but when they drop into that kind of bossa nova jazzy stuff, it really doesn't do it for me. Dust to Dawn on Lygon Street, more breezy psych pop. The book is pretty cool. It has this up and down sort of keyboard riff that kind of goes throughout the whole thing. That's kind of neat. It's kind of a little bit jaunty. There's even maybe a little bit of a Carlos Santana boom, 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 secret chord progression vibe in there. It's a little more of your typical weird King Gizzard psych pop. And I think it works a little better. This weird, short, spacey percussion jam drops in at the end. That's pretty good. So the book, which I think is the longest song on the album, about right in the beginning of the last third, one of the higher bright spots. There are these bright spots throughout it in which King Gizzard maybe resorts more to typical King Gizzard's psych pop instead of what I guess Mild High is bringing to the table. A Journey to Hell, Shell, kind of a cool instrumental, really weird noises, not quite Flaming Lips weirdish like Yoshimi 2, but it is that kind of pseudo funky weird. There's some just gibberish being yelled, in the middle of the song there's this weird, just kind of weird glitch that happens. There's some pretty interesting, A Journey, another instrumental track that's pretty interesting. Rolling Stoned is a really nice keyboard jam in it. We finally get some like sort of kind of jammy aspect to this. But for the rest of it, the song is pretty chill, soft 70s instrumental. You Can Be Your Silhouette is more area pop. And then we close out with Sketches of Brunswick East 3. A little less than 40 minutes. There's a handful of tracks that I think are kind of save the album, but for the most part, there's a definite mellow vibe. There's a definite airy vibe. There's a definite jazzy vibe. I think it was even nominated for a Grammy or for some award for Best Jazz Album, which is a stretch. Maybe it's your thing. Like King Gizzard has done kind of airy light before, a couple albums ago when they dropped Paper Mache Dream Balloon. That had some acoustic. That has a lot of flute in it, a lot of clarinet in it, but it works better. The songwriting was better. I thought the overall vibe of the album just gelled a little bit better. And for me, I understand why they did it. It's sort of a much needed breath of fresh air after the absolute intensity of the previous 3 albums, which was Murder of the Universe, Flying Microtonal Banana, and Nonagon Infinity, which were just, could have really been one long 3-hour just attack, just jam, or 2.5 hour. Like those are really intense albums. This is putting the brakes on that. A lot less guitar, a lot less stuff. But yeah, it's, I'm not the biggest fan of this. Where would I rank it if I had to rank it among the others? At the very end. I don't think it's bad. Like, I still, after 11, I don't think they've made a bad album, but that doesn't necessarily mean I want to listen to it. I would much rather listen to the garage psych rock of 12 Bar Brews, and I think the Western motif of Eyes Like the Sky is a little more interesting, a little more engaging. And they somehow manage over the course of that kind of EP-ish album I think, do more with the Western motif theme, cowboy theme music than they do with this airy pop that they do on Sketches of Brunswick East. So something had to go last, and I was thinking maybe their first album just because it was their first. But nah, I think for my personal taste, I would put this at the end. I don't ever reach for this. I don't ever grab this one. Yeah, so I would put it last. But hey, yeah, I'm sure somebody out there disagrees with me. Let me know why you love this album, or why you agree with me, or what I'm missing out, or what I need to appreciate. You know how all those things work. Yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, share, comment, and I'd say go listen to this album, but I'd also say, I mean, it's not a bad album. It's just my least favorite of theirs for the reasons I stated. All right, that's all I got. I'm going to try to go to the store tonight and buy a new light bulb. All right, peace. Talk to you later.